Hello and good day. Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We're here because we're on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Today's guest is a returning one. He's the owner of Canada's largest showcase of outdoor gear and adventure travel experiences, aka the Outdoor Adventure Show. Please welcome back Fred Cox.
Woohoo! Hey,
welcome, Fred.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for coming back, man.
Yeah.
You must have so much on your plate at the moment. I can't imagine.
Well, yeah. Hey, you know what? This is so nice because I feel like we're old friends now, and we just met at the show last year. Like we did the first podcast, which again, it's amazing how this technology can connect us. And so I felt like when I did see you at the show that again it was like seeing old friends, and I could see, also most importantly, which is really cool to me, to see people who are so ingrained in the outdoor adventure industry, like yourselves, be super excited with the kind of things that you were finding at the show, and you were good enough to give us some T-shirts for myself and our staff as well, which we wore proudly on some different adventures. And but no, so it's really good to be back here. Almost a full year later from when we last saw you at the show, and to talk about what's been happening in your world. And I've seen such great things from your podcast. You've had your 100th episode as well, right?
Yeah, we're approaching $120 now.
$1, my God, yeah. And
yeah.
Did you ever play bagpipes? I know that was part of one of the short that you were going to maybe play bagpipes on there somewhere. Was that when you're getting really desperate and you got me on instead? Is that what you did?
Yeah, no bagpipes.
Yeah.
No bagpipes. It's the plaid skirt wearing thing. I would play the bagpipes if I didn't have to wear the plaid skirt.
Oh, I've heard you worn dresses before, so
yes.
Okay, that's a different podcast.
You have pictures, I'm sure, Pamela.
I swear I burnt them all. Well, it's and just quickly to that point.
Yeah.
That's one of the. I would go to your. I don't care. I would go to your show. Like it's one of the highlights of my year. Obviously, cool. Backcountry camping, or but like, man, I love going to the Outdoor Adventure Show. I'm looking forward to it by November-ish. And one of the coolest things is it is such for whatever reason, potentially because a whole bunch of them are there or presenting or whatever, but the content creators, like, holy mackerel, you can't turn a corner without running into somebody from YouTube or somebody from Instagram or whatever. And they're all there for all those amazing reasons. So you feed something that we all seem to need.
Well, that's and to make some of those connections, like as I've watched some of your podcasts over the past year and what have you, and YouTube casts, it's really cool for me to hear things like when you had Alex and Jess on from Tents and Timber, and I heard that you met them at the Outdoor Adventure Show. And and sort of so to bring that up throughout the year, and to hear that some of those connections get made between all of you who have, I think, a similar mission of sharing your stories and sharing the best of the outdoors and tips and inspirations, and making connections on people who love the things that we all love. And there is so many different aspects to the Outdoor Adventure Show, and to the outdoors, of course, which is what we're so happy to kind of bring out. And it's always fun to talk about all the different ways that people adventure travel. But to hear something like that of your conversation with Alex and Jess, and I can tell you as well that it's one thing, I probably spend too much time during the year in different convention centers, as we do all of us who have, of course, day jobs and do what we do to keep ourselves going and keep ourselves inspired, which I'm super lucky to do what I do, and to sort of help bring some connections and meet great people like yourselves. But I can tell you, even from watching that Alex and Jess one, to learn about the East Coast Trail in Newfoundland, which still, I may have talked to you about it last year, I'm not sure, but it was on my list as the only province I haven't done in Canada. And I think I may have told you I did the West Coast Trail back in when I was, a few years ago, when I think I was 22 or 23. And but to hear them talk about the East Coast Trail, I can tell you, you have now inspired me to put something on my bucket list, to do it really, really soon. And when I do Newfoundland, which I've been, again, really keen to do for a long time, the East Coast Trail is going to be top of the list, and I'm going to certainly look up a bunch of the stuff that Tents and Timber did in terms of how they did their trip, and be able to take some things from it. But it really inspired me, so I want to thank you for that. So hopefully we're helping each other here.
Oh, you're so welcome. And to that, here live on air, please, an extended invitation. Come tell us about that trip. It'd be interesting to have the different perspectives of having done it in probably different time frames and that sort of jazz. I'm so I think Alex and Jess are on. I think they have 2 episodes out. I think a 3rd episode is about to drop. And I'm so like, it's like, oh yeah, as soon as it comes out, I got to watch that. That's cool. And I've already talked to them about it, but it's so cool. Like, what an amazing thing, man.
Well, it's so on my bucket list too. That Newfoundland Labrador trip has been on the bucket list for a while. Hopefully this summer.
Have you been? Yeah, you haven't been to Newfoundland either, have you? The two of you?
Yeah, but it definitely is high on the list. Yeah.
Have you been east to Nova Scotia or PEI, or had some oysters, some lobsters out there?
Yeah, PEI and New Brunswick, both of which were amazing, like lovely provinces, lovely people.
Yeah. East Coast people are pretty cool.
They really are, aren't they? It's and you really it is really cool. Again, when we take this show from coast to coast in the country, out to Vancouver and into Calgary and Montreal as well. And obviously we're lucky to have a lot of the same tour groups, like Newfoundland is with us in pretty much almost every show. So it's interesting. They're kind of almost going pretty much coast to coast in promoting some of their adventures, but you really do get the different flavor of the different regions of the country that we have. And that's not to mention, of course, all the other things that we promote worldwide and in Northern Canada, and even, seminars I was reading today about the Northwest Passage and but it's really cool, exactly, to sort of get connected with the vibe of people, and I can remember sort of making some great connections with Newfoundland people back from our first outdoor adventure shows now 27 years ago. Stan Cook Sr. and Stan Cook Jr. sort of saying, "You got to get out here and do a hey, bye! You got to get out here and do a kayak trip. Come join me. Let's go. We're gonna go to Penny Harbor. Have a kitchen party." It was awesome stuff and such awesome people, and so that's. It's nice to continue to be inspired, and geez, there's just so many places we all have to hit that hopefully these kind of things help us, as I say, do some little things that you want to be able to incorporate into your trips, and just have some connections to people who are going to have connections at the actual destinations to be able to meet along the way, because those connections really go strong. And if you have a connection to people, again, we've been lucky to have so many people from Newfoundland, especially come to our Toronto show, but when they hit the other ones as well, you meet them and they really feel like family as well. So they're going to be able to I know, treat us well when eventually either my wife and I or a couple of my kids get out there and hit the East Coast Trail. So that'll be exciting.
Sweet. Yeah. It's I mean, that was one of the things that kind of side railed me last year. I found myself wandering through you had a whole section for the Newfoundland and Labrador, and I was just, I had no idea. I mean, I knew it's big, it's cool, it's got all the things, but I didn't know what all the things were. So I started wandering around. It's like, oh, that's 2 hours. Okay, I need to pull back a little bit. I've got a few other places to visit. So
yeah, exactly. And I saw in one of your other episodes, just an aside, your interview with Jay Case and Sherry Tuck, Beauty of the Backcountry, from Sault Ste. Marie. And I was just being told yesterday about one of our presenters from Thrive Tours, who's also presenting a Exploring Nature Through Indigenous Wisdom, which is a Sault Ste. Marie expedition as well, and just kind of tie in all the Indigenous culture and how they do things differently, as that's kind of part of their lifestyle. It's not just sort of often sort of what they do for their hobbies and this and that, but it's something the Indigenous culture obviously sees things very different. So I think it's kind of a cool topic that Brad from Thrive Tours has in Exploring Nature Through Indigenous Wisdom. And again, that's a Sault Ste. Marie based one, which is, as I say, tied back to your talk with Sherry and Jay, who it sounds like they've done some cool adventures as well.
They've done some very cool adventures. Yeah, they're we could spend all night talking about all the cool people, because they are. They're just such, everybody is such, they're such lovely people. They're such, they are. We're all trying to do the same thing and get people out there to care about what we do as far as
Mm-hmm.
the outdoor adventures, and then therefore take responsibility for caring for the land. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the indigenous so have us beat at all of that we can all do so much learning from them, for sure, for sure.
They really do. Yeah, I have a niece who lives up in Nunavut and is a teacher up there, and she went up for your classic 3-year contract, not knowing if she'd make it probably more than a year and a half, and now she's, I think, into her 4th year and has a boyfriend up there who's an awesome guy, and he's actually half indigenous and half from Newfoundland family as well. So it's a really interesting connection from and background that he has. But he sort of works in the government up there, helping to make things as good as they can possibly be. But to see the stories from the north up there and see it firsthand from now a family member up in the north and see how they live and exactly hearing sort of the way they have this awesome dog named Tuck, who just is a part of all of their adventures in -40 and 3 feet of snow. Somehow they figure out their way to get through it, and Tuck is the leader, and is with them on every journey as they not only canoe through the Arctic waters and kayak through the Arctic waters, but also on all their hiking, which is in some rough terrain. But the dogs just take it incredibly, and animals are all a part of their life and the way that they sort of look at things in terms of how they eat, how they learn, and the way they look out for each other. It's really cool to hear, the generational support that everybody has, and how they've taken someone like my niece into their families as well, and been able to, hey, you need something, we're here for you, and that really goes for anybody who needs something. They really kind of look out for each other, and as I say, they don't leave anybody stranded for the basics of life. That's for sure. So a lot to learn up there too.
Very cool. Nunavut. Wow, man.
Yeah,
That would be a different experience.
yeah, exactly. So that's another one on the list. So as I say,
Yeah.
I gotta stop staying in the convention centers and get out, right? Don't we all?
You do, and or find us the Fountain of Youth so that we can do this for a much longer time than I expect.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yes, we've got connections to all of these amazing adventure things. So,
Hmm.
are there any of those that you have availed yourself of? Are there any particular that you really enjoyed?
In terms of all of yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
assuming you take small breaks here and there, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So even kind of last summer, I guess, and it's all sort of weaved in and out of my life, and our life as a family, as my 3 kids have kind of grown, and I still have one in university, but it kind of weaved in and out through various forms of kind of car camping when they were young, through then more some tripping and what have you as they got a little bit older into their teens, and where we could manage it around sports and things like that. But yeah, no. So we still spend a lot of time both in the north, from a cottaging perspective, and also I do some cottaging in the east on Lake Huron, right on Lake Huron, and so I'm right kind of. I do a lot of road cycling over to McGregor Park and spend time over there. We're going to put tents in the back, which is only 20 minutes away, and so it's really cool. And we do the Saugeen River right from there as well, kind of taking that through when it's appropriate to run that, which it's kind of had some ups and downs years from a water level perspective. But Tim and Jeanette Thorne, who used to run Thorncrest Outfitters, were great friends who sort of had some great water adventures, and yeah. So last summer it did was into Algonquin just once, because that's always usually a staple, either an Algonquin trip of some sort or a Killarney trip. I've hiked Silver Peak more times than I can imagine, which it's one of my favorite views in the world for sure. But last year, my 81-year-old father, who was a founder with me of the Outdoor Adventure Show and really a driver behind starting this whole thing, he got together. Our family, my siblings, all of the grandkids, of which he has 12, I believe it is. But so I think there was 23 of us in total that he organized to go up to Canoe Lake and rent canoes and paddle in. And this was in the middle of June. It was actually Father's Day weekend to see the moose. and just because that's sort of the best time to be able to sort of do some moose watching, and so to be able to do that was really cool with all the siblings of various levels, and right up to my 81-year-old father who was paddling away. And we also had with us my sister, who lives up in Barrie and owns a first aid company, brought in a family who she was really helping out from the Ukraine, who just came out of, who just literally escaped out of Ukraine and had incredible stories about getting out from the war. And he was a doctor, a surgeon, and she was high up in the nursing sector. So both of them highly medically qualified, and their two kids who were 10 and 12 at the time. And so to have them, drop into canoes and paddle up Canoe Lake, and past Wapameyo and up towards Joe Lake. The simple basics of Algonquin Park, but to see the beauty of it from the eyes of and hear stories of what's going on in another part of the world from a family from the Ukraine, that was really cool for our family to be able to bring them in, and just to know how lucky we are to have each other and have the safety and freedoms that we have as Canadians, and to be able to see, again, through a whole family's eyes from the Ukraine of what Canada has to offer, from just a northern adventure, to be able to see their eyes when you all of a sudden turn the corner and you see a family of moose. It's pretty incredible. That's kind of one of those Canadian adventures that you never get tired of, and you never get less awe-inspired of. But to see it from a family from the Ukraine with what they're going through right now was really kind of really neat, a cool experience. So that was that was one short trip that I got to do amongst a few others in the last year. But yeah, that kind of got me certainly into the north.
Cool. That would be very satisfying to be able to go. Here's something that we don't necessarily take for granted, but is totally accessible to us anytime we want, whatever. And I'd like to share this because we know this is amazing stuff. We'd like to share this with you, and that's yay for you.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and as I say, just good to get the generations together and be able to share that, because those are sort of pictures and memories that you love, and usually you do it with sort of smaller groups. But to have some people who aren't necessarily into the outdoors as much, or haven't done it, in terms of some newer nieces and nephews and boyfriends and girlfriends and things like that, you just never know who you're inspiring to do more of it and continue to share those kind of things with each other. So it's a spirit that doesn't go away when you see those things, for sure.
Cool. Well, here's hoping I'm still able to paddle at 81. Man, that's awesome. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So I just we can talk about camping stories all night long.
Yes.
But I'm interested. So I'm sorry. I'm pointing at. I've got
For
all
sure.
the stage stuff. And highlighted because I'm only coming on Saturday, so I've highlighted the shows that I'm going to sprint back and forth from between the paddling stage and the Best of Canada stage, and probably get sidetracked if it's laid out like last year. I'll get sidetracked by the whitewater demo pool as I run past it. So
yep,
you're an evil man, just saying. That must be so cool to have such an amazing pool of talent that wants to come and yak to the crowds. Like I don't know, I'm blown away. You've got Kevin Callan, Hap Wilson, Camper Christina. You got the two new lads, which I thumbs to you. You got Ben Beauchamp and Evan Lefebvre. Awesome up and comers. Yay.
Good. Yes.
Les Stroud, like all the things, man. How cool is that?
We're really, really lucky to have created what we create and have such a group of people that really love to be a part of it. And I think things like we're doing here, and social media has made this so much better, because so many more people can get exposed to the stories that all of these people, 20 years ago, they weren't able to share this stuff unless they properly wrote a book and found a publisher, and someone stumbled upon it and shared it over campfires. Whereas now, the way we can, and been the interesting part of the evolution of the whole show is, and we may have talked about this last year, but the whole evolution of show business, when when we did see the internet come along, and then everything else that you can find online, you kind of say, oh my God, why do people need to still come and get together? But the exact opposite has happened, where it's made superstars out of people in every single industry, and that includes obviously the outdoor adventure and the paddling and camping industries, where you have superstars within this genre. And I'm sure, I'm sure people are recognizing you all over the show as well, which is super cool. But
Weird.
yeah, and I know, I bet. But but that's been the great thing, that the followers and it's really been circular, where hopefully it's also helped the other things that they are doing, to be able to allow the people who make who earn a living by this, doing this. It's given them some other forums to be able to spread their message and highlight some of their sponsors and allow them to do what they do on a full-time basis. But the fact that we can, help reach their followers and be able to give a chance for people, I think, at the perfect time of year, at the end of February, when everyone's just starting to say, okay, what am I going to do next year, and what am I going to do this summer coming up, especially, and what's on my list. They've just passed the new year in terms of saying, great, here's what I want to do with myself. But to be able to come and talk to the people, and you can really see, you see it in the eyes and you hear it in the voices of the Kevin Callens and Camper Christina, and these people are just so committed to things like Camper Christina, Crystal Bendelak, who's our show manager for the entire outdoor adventure circuit, and she does an awesome job for us. Our shows are completely sold out right across the country, by the way. So we've literally, there's not an exhibit booth in all 4 cities across the country, which I can say never happens. Usually we've been always able to find a space for someone here and there, but literally, short of hanging people from the rafters, we don't have any space for any more exhibitors, which is a great thing. It's also a problem that we'd love to have some more, but the halls are only so big. Like the hall that you met us in, and you'll see us in at the Outdoor Adventure Show, it's the largest hall that they have, at the International Center. So it's we'll see about expansion into future ones. But anyways, Crystal does such a great job, and she came in this morning and she's like, I was on the phone with Camper Christina, from 10 till midnight last night, because Christina is so excited about some of the things that she's got coming, presentations she's making, providing some backdrop displays for us. So people like that you see that are just so committed, and she's got a million things going on, but to see people like her so excited about the show. And Adam Schultz, hopefully, is he on your list to check out?
He's on my list, but I think he's on a different day, because it was like, oh crap, where I can only come out on the Saturday. Thomas and I, somebody's going to be in Mexico, so.
Oh wow, good on you. There you go. That's okay too.
I will be doing some scuba and Caribbean adventures, though.
There you go.
We're going spearfishing. We're going spearfishing.
Spearfishing.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Which part of Mexico? From
we're arriving in Cancun, but we're staying at Playa del Carmen.
Ah, yes. I figured that's kind of some of the best stuff down there, right? That's great. Yeah, but no. So Adam is on the Saturday, so you will be able to catch that if you're on the Adventures in Paddling stage, and that's going to be. But that's going to be. Let me look at this here.
The same time as Kevin. That's why.
Same time as Kevin in the Best of Canada. Yeah, which is we may have to fix that. now that I look at that one, because he should be. Yeah, we're gonna have to play with that, actually. Now that I look at this, I'm glad we are, because it's amazing all the different schedules that we have to put together. But yeah, you're right. So Kevin is he's on another day as well. But yeah, so we're gonna play with that, because Adam's, Kevin's always more than a sold out show, that's for sure. But
and I'm sure Adam with his book, like he's gonna be a massive draw too.
Exactly. It's 3,400 kilometer canoe. Yeah, it's from Lake Erie to the Arctic. Some of the videos from that is really neat. So
mind-boggling stuff. I know. It's
yeah. And then your friend Dennis Rogers will be on at 3:30. You see on the Adventures in Paddling as well. That'll be a cool.
So
one, right?
I've got, just because I'm a whack job, I've got, I think there's 3 or 4 of them that I have to literally run from one stage to the other, and then about 3:30. On the Saturday, I can plunk at the paddling stage and watch Dennis, Ben, and Evan.
Ben and Evan.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll try to have some food sent over to you, and maybe a beverage if you need one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Um,
no. So but these these and so yeah, but for whatever everyone's looking for, and yeah, we know your sort of big sweet spot. But the cool part is all of this, seeing the sort of growth of the outdoor adventure show, of where we really did start more as an extensive kind of canoe symposium, if you will, but to see all the different styles of adventure take shape as things have gone over and have a significant part of the show has been really neat. Including kind of even overlanding, where people are, using their, again, glorified car camping, but just making it more, more, yeah, I
yeah,
guess,
lots of teardrop trailers and custom built
yeah,
stuff.
custom built
That looks
stuff that,
cool, man.
yeah. Yeah, so we have 5 or 6 different exhibits that have really neat, to see what people are doing with their custom things, and to be able to get them into the outdoors. That's certainly a growing part of things. But yeah, in terms of international travel, like, we've got presentations from really literally all around the world that are happening. We've got a significant U.S. travel portion, as well. But as we look at some international, you know, destinations, we've got cool stuff from Africa, from the Philippines, Nicaragua, presentations happening, Antarctica, and then a number of, as I say, destinations in the States as well, where you can, um, you know, the Tanzania and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. The Zara Tours people are back presenting some of that. That always have some great things, which also get people into safari territory as well. And so yeah, so there's, just for people who also want to be able to see the rest of the world outside of the wonderful Canada, that we both have great destinations on our list. There's so many things to do and see, and to sort of, yeah, pick what your things are going to be. And yeah, the scuba and Caribbean adventure stage as well, that'll have a lot of what you're going to do, Pamela, in Mexico, and with great dive destinations. And our dive destinations last year, I think people are going to see a significant uptick from people who came last year, because a lot of the dive destinations were still coming back from COVID, in terms of getting their dive resorts from a funding perspective and staffing perspective. They were still kind of recovering. So, but we really have a full and sold out schedule and zone that we had to keep expanding a few times as more and more dive destinations came in. So, places like St. Lucia, Antigua, Barbuda, yeah, dive Curacao, Bahamas, Martinique. And then you have local dive destinations for people like the great people from Newfoundland as well are coming out talking on dive destinations from Ocean Quest, and so to be able to give some of those, also some Ontario dive people and dive destinations being showcased there too. So for people who like to get underwater, yeah, the show this year is going to be awesome for them too.
That's cool.
So on water, underwater.
There's the
Yeah.
water theme. um,
Yeah.
the travel theater. Sorry, you mentioned Antarctica.
Hmm.
What out of curiosity, if you know, what does one do on a trip to Antarctica?
What does one do on a trip to Antarctica? I'm going to learn that as well, along
Okay.
with you.
Like, I'm thinking
So
penguins,
yeah,
but outside of that, I'm like, holy mackerel, because I
Ye-
lots of snow and ice and science station.
yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, Aurora Expeditions is doing a presentation on that, and yeah, it's called "Are You Expedition Ready?" And because a lot of that is, Antarctica and beyond. And I actually sat beside somebody on the plane ride home from our Vancouver Outdoor Adventure Show last year, who had come, from the Antarctic as well, and just finished an Antarctic tour with another company, and exactly sort of going literally in rubber pontoon boat from little island to island, and in places where you literally for sure cannot leave any traces, because they want to keep this as pure and pristine as possible, but they still want people to be able to see it. But how close you can get to the penguins and see the tens of thousands and thousands of penguins up there, and see all the different research that they're doing in the Antarctic. And yeah, there's obviously a lot of topography in terms of hiking trips that you can do there. But it's all about, as I say, I think it's a good topic on Are You Expedition Ready? Because I think there is a lot of preparation that you have to do to be able to endure that, and just getting there. And there's often sort of puddle jumps along the way. Yeah, depending on which area you're going to, of destinations that you can hit. In terms of, I know this couple who I met had stopped in Peru and Argentina, and kind of got some of those destinations in South America on their way down there.
On the
So
way down, that'd be
um,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. So I think but yeah, but that'd be a cool one to take in. I know Aurora Expeditions has been a good partner for a long time, so they kind of know what they're doing, and which is really neat. And yeah, another one on the Sunday. So you're not going to be on this there on the Sunday, Tim, but on the Best of Canada stage. Another one I thought was really really neat at 3 o'clock. Mylène Coulomb Grattan she has a company called Follow Her North, and
Yep.
the outdoors through a Northern Ontario girl's eyes is the name of her presentation, and she is super cool. Kind of watching her videos, and she's obviously grown up in the north, but she's now sharing her lifestyle and in terms of taking people on tours. And it's kind of neat to see a young girl be able to share all of this and have the confidence to be able to, yeah, try to bring people along with her. And sort of, I just love the topic that she's made of Northern Ontario through a girl's eyes.
There's so much. Well, I see bike packing too. As
Hmm.
because I'm an idiot and I'll talk to anybody about anything that involves outdoors. Uh,
Yes.
as my worldview of it expands from being in a canoe, uh,
Hmm.
I see more and more people doing exactly that, doing bike packing. I think that's so cool, and it leads itself. I would say I'm seeing it more south of the border than here, but e-bikes and e-motorcycles to get and they're those types are saying, they were hikers and they do some overlanding, but now it's light and easy and they can actually expand their range to places
Yeah.
that they've been before, but get farther in or farther along or do a larger loop or whatever along those lines, which is like, that's cool. It's like, I've already done this stuff before.
Oh,
I've been here before. Now I can do more of it. I think that's amazing. I think that's
ex-
fantastic.
you're absolutely right, and and that's kind of where, and as I say, I think, to me, the people who get the most out of our show are people who, hey, I think we have everything for the purists, as we've talked about, in terms of just hardcore basic paddling trips, which everyone can share and love. But the more that people can expand their horizons, and the people who get the most out of our show are exactly what you talk about being able to look and say, cool, okay, an electric bike. Uh, yeah, it can have a connotation of, is it the best for the environment? But my God, if they're hopefully able to deal with some of the back ends of that correctly, and in that case, there's no emissions, but obviously we have to deal with the batteries, etc. But just to be able to exactly, push your boundaries a little further, and to be able to do it, like when I talk about, it's funny because I talk about my wonderful 81-year-old father, and he's one who's like, hey, I want to get an e-bike, because he still rides his bike down in Florida, and he says he wants to get an e-bike so that he can sort of ride, across to the Everglades. And I'm like, I don't know that you should be doing that. But so he may not be the right demographic, but it's that kind of thing that, leads people with spirit to be able to say, hey, and it allows people, different spouses, one may be faster than another and in better shape, but literally, if you can just go like this with your handle and be able to keep up, for someone else who still wants to get the full exercise of biking, it's opened up a whole world of opportunities. And we've seen that. I've been watching for years, actually. It's amazing how long this has sort of taken to sort of get where it is. But we have some people from our BC Bike Show world. We have the BC Bike Show, which is combined with the Outdoor Adventure Show in Vancouver. So it's sort of not just everything of, we obviously have a cycling component we have, I think, 6 great retailers from the bike world in Ontario at the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show, showcasing all e-bikes and touring bikes and everything else, in addition to Ontario by Bike, who's kind of tells you different biking destinations. But I've met some just incredible people over the years from BC. When we talk about the vibes back 15 minutes ago of people around the country, I met the coolest North Shore mountain bikers who 15 years ago were rigging their mountain bikes and putting actually motors on the back with backpack powered batteries and taking people into the Badlands and into all these incredible areas in northern BC. And their footage from 15 years ago would blow your mind of the kind of stuff that I was seeing and what they were showcasing to people. And it's obviously evolved now that main cycling companies are offering that. But that's been really cool to kind of watch that become and exactly open up the world of outdoor adventure to people who love to also get on two wheels, and you can see so much, and again prolong your life of outdoor activities with that stuff too.
That's cool. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
totally picture. I have some friends out in Vancouver, and yeah, the bike scene out there is just crazy. Like they're all just
Yeah.
they're a bunch of lunatics, but
Yeah.
they've
Oh,
been
they
doing
are.
it for a long time, so they're relatively
Yeah.
safe lunatics. So
Oh,
yeah,
I know. I know. You can't believe it. And yeah, for all of us who like to take pictures, I know you had a Josie Dinsmore, I think, on your cast a while ago, talking about photography in the outdoors. And we've got Fujifilm is on board this year, so they're doing a presentation on the Friday at the show. Less editing, more adventures, just kind of for photography people out there who want to hear what some of the pros are doing, and so next level visual integrations of how we're showcasing our things. So it's cool to sort of have that. I know Scott McGregor from Rapid Magazine used to do some great presentations on that. They used to get about travel writing and travel photography, and he used to get some great audiences for that too. So we're happy to have some of those things back for people who want to continue to make their photos Instagram worthy, and plus ready for whatever other format you're going to share them in.
yeah, that's a great tie-in. Like that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't have thought of it, but yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
because
and
we
she had
all
she had, by the way, I heard Les Stroud. She ended up on a hike with Les Stroud. It sounded like from one of your
she
podcasts.
did too. How cool was
Yeah,
that, man? It's like
oh, for sure.
I'm supposed to go
We're
And
interview
jealous.
him. No,
We're jealous.
yeah, and he's like that. And we didn't even talk about him when we talked about all the celebrities and people like that who love. I remember that was Les kind of 8 or 10 years ago, as he came back to our show, maybe the second or third time. He's like, "These are my people. These are my people," and because he just you can see, and so many people have seen either all of his episodes and followed him on all of his different media channels, but he really is such a good adventurer at heart, and someone who just believes in everybody. Yeah, making connections and making the most of what you love to do, and he's become a good friend over the years as well, and so it's really cool to have him. Uh, he's still busy with so many different things that he does in the musical scene and so many other things, but it was really cool this year. He was like, "Oh, I don't even know if I can make it. I don't know if I can make it. What are the dates again?" And I sent him the dates, and he all of a sudden said, "You know what? We're going to go big or go home. I'm coming to all three shows." So he's coming to three of our shows, not Quebec, because we do more things in French on that one. But he's coming to Calgary and to Vancouver with us as well. So this will be the first time having him in Calgary. And Vancouver, he was there once, right when COVID just exploded. So, which was our last show right before COVID. So, I remember sitting there having the conversations with him about, okay, should I shake hands or not? What should we do
what do
here?
we
We were
do
like,
here?
don't worry about it, just go for it.
That
We
sounds
maybe
like
should have been
that.
more careful, but he's still with us, so I think we're okay. So yeah,
That's
so we
cool.
have them for three different shows, which is great, and it kind of shows exactly those kind of people who, as you say, are so committed to sharing what they have to offer and really enjoy the environment. So we're honestly just humbled that people like that will come out and share their stories and see their people and yeah, meet people and just talk and share stories, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, and just as sort of a maybe a cautionary note, I'm not sure about whether taking your wallet's a good idea. Only because everything is awesome and everything's on sale. So
Yes.
so I may not have been looking for some of the stuff I went home with last year, but I went home with it anyhow.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's what we like to hear. Thank you for supporting the exhibitors, Tim.
You
Yeah.
bet. You bet.
Hope you approve the receipts, Pamela. That's
But
good. Uh,
It's a
yeah.
guarantee. If he goes,
Y-
he's coming home with some.
so,
Yeah,
Bring
that
it or not.
exactly. It's the time for that when we all want to start to get out, and when we can look at these things. And it is great that so many of the retailers come out and put on some great sales to start the season. They love to kick off their season. Some of them have had a cold couple of months wrapped up where people haven't been probably as active, but this is the time to get going. And so yeah, to have the Johnson Outdoors and the outdoors oriented Heldson, um, uh, you know, presenting a lot of their gear and a lot of other smaller up and coming travel gear providers, travel clothing providers, and to have some great scuba destination shops who bring different scuba gear to the table as well. We always want to have a lot for people to buy just because people love to be at a show and come home with something. So that's something we're always, the retailing world is always tricky at the best of times. So we love our exhibitors who come out, and it means a lot to us that they take the time and effort to bring a lot of their inventory, and all the canoe and kayak dealers that come to the show as well, to bring their boats and paddles and wetsuits and every other backpack and ancillary need that we have to be in the outdoors. For the people who bring that inventory out, it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot. So we're appreciative of it, because people, you want to feel those things. You want to get a paddle in your hand. You want to talk to the guy who carved it, and that's kind of what we're trying to bring together, and what we think is sort of our secret sauce is having all of that. And when people can have a little story of some of the things, of someone they've met, from people who they've bought it from, it's a lot more satisfying than buying something on Amazon. So it kind of just gives you that, hey, this is cool, and
Very much
you remember where you got something from, right? So
Yep. Yeah. I bugged. Well, I wanted a double blade. I've got a solo 14-footer now. And I wanted to try. I have plenty of single blades, but I wanted to try out the double blade just to see how it works. And I bugged them for. I took up a great deal of their time yakking with them. And I came home and just, it was like a total crapshoot. I had no idea. Took their advice. We checked out my size, all that sort of jazz. It's a fantastic paddle. It's great.
Okay.
I used it last summer. It was awesome.
Hey, that's great to hear.
See?
And hopefully it brings you back a memory of kind of being at the show, and again, something you can tell around the campfire, right?
Yep. Yeah. I had no idea what I was looking for, and they totally educated me on all the things. Plus, it's quite nice, despite saying don't bring your wallet. It's quite nice to sort of one-stop shopping. Like you hit them, you hit somebody else, go over and look at H2O canoes. Go check whatever out. I don't have to drive around to 14 places all over Ontario or whatever. I can drive to one place and listen to Adam Schultz tell me all about his latest book. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Out of interest, do you pre-set up some meetings are you in touch with people before the show to kind of say, hey, I'm going to see you there, or how do you sort of plan your visit, aside from looking at the schedules and what have you?
Well, some of the other content creators, for sure, we've been communicating with about, hey, you going to be there?
Good.
Hey, you going to be there? Yeah.
It honestly, October, November, we start chatting with people. Somebody will mention it, and then it'll become part of a conversation. And
cool.
Whether it's through, we have a lot of contacts now, so it's great. We can reach out to somebody, and it's I would say, well, there's going to be, I would say I've probably talked to about 18 people that we're going to run into at the show and have a chat. And probably half of them will be future podcast episodes, because it's like, okay, here's a rough idea of, when we get to the show, let's pop over by Dennis and Kid Products, and we'll have a yak about it.
Yeah. Oh, neat.
It's
great.
So cool, man.
There's certain things that bring the whole community together. So Dennis Rogers Outdoor Adventure Show is one, like on YouTube. And then the physical Outdoor Adventure Show is the other. It brings the community together.
Your show, all the Ontario content creators, if they can get away from wherever they are, whether it's coming to Ste. Marie or Ottawa, or can I get back from that trip in time? They come, man. It's amazing. It's
that's
for what I think of as my tribe. It's amazing.
Yep. Cool. And that is our other, by the way, fastest growing zone in the show is our, even though we have all these wonderful destinations from all over the place, but Ontario Outdoor Adventure Pavilion was the biggest expansions that Crystal and her team had to make in exhibit space along the way, because they just kept coming and coming and coming of all, and that's a lot of sort of the little 10 by 10 outfitters that have unique adventures and stories to tell. So that is those are the meat and potatoes of, for people who are often sort of driving within an hour and a half radius of, so those are, as I say, are going to be the base travel adventures that a lot of people are going to look for in terms of things that can be weekend trips or day trips and things like that, and as I say, will all sort of hopefully put a bucket list trip out there for somewhere else in Canada, somewhere else around the world. But so many of the kind of people that come to the show do want to do an outdoor adventure in Ontario and be able to make sure they're checking off all the things that they can do relatively cost effectively. And so that's where we're happy that word keeps spreading through that community, and they've chosen to come and share their experiences with us and with all of our attendees to show them what they have, and inspire them to do some different things in all parts of Ontario too. So as I say, that certainly is kind of our fastest growing zone. That really did help us kind of sell out the show this year. And so I'm just looking at the floor plan now, trying to say, where can we fit a few more? Because we have a bit of a waiting list now, which is nice.
That's
but
that's an enviable
but we
position
don't
to be in, man.
yeah, we don't take it for granted, because and so now our challenge is yeah, so we are, and as you say, it is a busy time of year. I was just literally back in the other part of the office here, pulling out all the signage that we have that we hang all throughout the hall, just kind of getting that ready, and which ones are we going to refresh, and making sure it's all ready to go to have our crew with the setup, and sort of that kind of gets me excited for starting the season from that too. So we're certainly ready in high gear, and ticket sales have obviously been going on for probably since before Christmas, I guess now, and yeah, it certainly is probably on track to be one of our best ever attended shows as well. So that's where we're happy, and again, we can't thank people like you enough who help spread the word to our kind of people as well, to help get the message out, and as I say, that kind of reach that we get both organically and be able to just spread with all the messages that people are sending in of videos to us, that we're able to relay organically and through our paid social media to get the word out to people. It just helps really bring it all to life, and show the kind of adventures that we're doing. We've done some cool things with our exhibitors where they were good enough to, on a lot of their adventures throughout the summer, from last year, shooting videos for us from their destinations, which has been really neat, because that's what people sort of want to see, and be able to say, hey, come and see us at the show. This is kind of what you're going to be able to see and what you're going to be able to do, and we can put you here. But so that took a lot of advanced planning, but our marketing team's done a lot of work on that too. That's really what, because to me, it's sort of two shows at once that happen here. It's the live show that happens to take place inside the International Center and in 120,000 feet, but then everyone's visions are of the outdoors and the great outdoors, and we're happy we can do the show in there, because that's we need a climate controlled environment to pull off everything that we do, despite the people who always say to me, why aren't you doing it outdoors? Well, it doesn't work so well if you're at Guelph Lake and it all of a sudden rains for 2 days. None of us are happy there. So we make the best of it. But again, we all know that at the show, in everybody's mind's eye, it's you're in the outdoors and you're looking at a booth from wherever it is in Northwest Territories, or in Alberta tourism or Nicaragua, and you're picturing yourself there. And obviously the graphics and images people are able to put into their booths, and videos that they're able to put in the booths, just helps get people in that mode, which really turns your static, wonderful concrete environment of a show into a very visionary experience that you can have, and almost sort of does help immerse you into the outdoors with still having a roof over your head. So if
Yeah,
that
well,
makes sense.
and cycling back to the a comment you made very early, 40 minutes ago or whatever.
Yeah.
It is. It puts it's like the go to plan your tripping,
Yeah.
to do all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
so
Wow.
so much excitement in February. for July things, right?
We must be excited, Tim, because I told you we could probably only talk for half an hour, and I think we're at 48 minutes right now. What have you done?
We run into this
Eh?
all the time.
Oh, jeez.
Not a bad thing, man. It's not a bad thing.
No, that's great. That's
Well,
great.
on behalf of everybody
Yeah.
who likes to come to the show, thank you so much for putting it on, man. I can't tell you, for me, seriously, being in a canoe and hiking the crack. Okay,
Yeah.
outside of
Yeah.
that, this is like the highlight of my year.
Wow, that's great.
It is so cool.
Well, yeah, thank you for those kudos, and we're really happy to do it, and it makes it all worthwhile when you hear stuff like that, and when you see people who really do enjoy it, and yeah, again, we can't thank you enough for helping spread the word, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the show. Unfortunately, Pamela, we'll have to wait another year for you, but we'll hear about your adventures then.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. And if you do manage to get yourself a cool,
Mhm.
Newfoundland and Labrador, seriously, invite. Come tell us all the story about the trip.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. No,
All right.
yeah, I'd be happy to do that for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll do our outro and we'll
Super.
call it a done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Fred Cox from the Outdoor Adventure Show for joining us today. Please do check it out. If you're here in Toronto, it's February 23rd, 24th, 25th. But you can also check it out in Vancouver, Calgary, and Montreal. And I don't know what the dates are for that.
They're 1 week after each, right?
Check
so
it.
so Toronto is the 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Yeah.
A week later is
Vancouver the next weekend.
Then you're
Yeah.
back to Calgary. Then you're Montreal.
Yeah, 1 week off, and then Calgary, Montreal, back to back in March. So that's right.
And
So
then a bit of exhaustion for a little while after that.
that's right. That's right.
And here in Toronto, it's at the International Centre out on Airport Road. So do check it out. And thank you so much for listening to us. I'm Pamela.
I'm still Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. Please do check us out on our website. Check us out on YouTube. We love it if you subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you like what we're doing, don't like what we're doing, have some constructive feedback, we would love to hear it. You can always reach out to us at hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.